Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Throwback Thursday. I do not know what happened with this video, but I went through and taped the entire video and then realized afterwards that it didn't record my sound. So, you are getting a voiceover for the first part of this video. Anyway, welcome back to our Great Punch Breakout, and I have decided today to use some of these pictures from James in 2018 when he and I went to Washington DC to look at Georgetown and to meander around and through Washington DC. So it's a throwback from 2018, and I was looking to kind of figure out what punch I could use, and I decided that I would use the building bricks punch, and I felt like it was perfect for Washington, D.C. And then I am sticking with my simple page kit theme, and I decided I was going to try and show you guys how easy it is to use one of these simple page kits. You know that it comes with an instruction guide that tells you exactly how to lay everything out, and then it has 2 base pages, a set of stickers, and a cut apart sheet. I am going to use this neutral background with James's pictures and this punch, and hopefully I'm going to end up with a wonderful design that just shows you how easily you can use these cut apart sheets to create something that will work for you. And I have no idea what else I was supposed to be saying to you in this video. I apparently was talking for quite some time. But I also have a piece of the beige, and I'm going to use that to cut out my bricks. So first up, I'm going to clear all this out of the way and bring in my mats and adhere my base pages to the mats. I am going to change this layout up quite a bit. I want to use that punch, and I kind of want to use it as the center of my layout. I'm going to put my pictures at the top, but they're going to run in a in a portrait fashion. And I have a fun title that I want to use. So I think that what I'm going to do here is, instead of cutting this in all the different strips, I am literally just here. I was thinking I was going to make mats, and then I changed my mind because I'm just not sure what I want to do for mats. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get that stripe paper, because I want to run that stripe paper across the bottom of these 2 pages. So when you actually measure, it ends up being about 10 inches from the border to the edge, which means you've got to cut off about 2 inches, which works perfectly because one of those strips has that white journaling box. So if I go ahead and cut off those 2 inches, that box goes away and I don't have to worry about it. So that's what I'm doing here. So rather than have my stripes at the top like the instruction, I'm going to go ahead and put them at the bottom. Still going to bring my pictures in at the top, but I'm going to run them in a portrait fashion instead of in a landscape. And I do want to keep them in a bigger size than what the instructions have you do. I'm just trying to figure out which grouping of photos I want to use. Now, I have decided that I'm probably going, when I was designing this layout, I was designing it so that the top part would be 6 inches and the bottom part would be 6 inches, so that I could cut my pages in half and use a peekaboo pocket on the top or the bottom. And that would allow me to put all the rest of my, that's what I'm explaining right here, but that would allow me to put all the rest of my photos underneath, and then I would just have 2 pages for this event instead of having to have 3 or 4 pages. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use this beige cardstock to cut my border that I want to use. And I've been thinking about the colors that I want to bring into this layout, and there's a lot of blue in what James and I are wearing. And so I am probably going to bring some blue into this layout, and then there's a lot of green. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm just going ahead and I'm cutting my border. I did bring in a scrap piece of paper. I always do that so that I can then just dump all the garbage that comes out underneath really easily. So I'm going to show you here, that is my scrap bin of all of my blue cardstock. And I am rifling through to see if I could find a strip that would fit underneath my bricks so that they will pop out on my page. And this is where I said I was going to bring in some blue. And I'm loving the way that that looks. It's going to kind of function as a divider between the top portion of my page and the bottom portion of my page. So I'm kind of halving my page, and I'm doing that intentionally because I have a lot of pictures, and so I'm thinking in the back of my mind about that peekaboo pocket. So I'm liking how that looks, but it just still needs some more color. So I am going to bring in some more of that blue, and what I did was I decided I was going to cut a 1/4-inch strip on both sides to help frame in my pictures a little bit more. So that's what you see me doing here, is I'm cutting the 1/4-inch strip, and now I'm going to put it on the side. And then I'm going to do it again and put it on the left-hand side. So once I cut this last strip and I put it on the other side, I looked at my layout and I decided I still needed a little something because it just needed a little something to help ground the entire layout. So I went back to the drawing boards and I found the wavy scallop punch. And I thought adding a little bit of a scallop to the bottom of this layout might be perfect. It would help ground it. It would help bring some weight to the bottom of the layout. So I go ahead and I punch that, and then I put that down there to see what I think. And I actually really like the way that it looks. And looking at it now on the camera, it would almost be a perfect like little craft booth or lemonade stand if you just reversed it and put the scallop at the top. Okay, so I'm liking how that looks, and now I'm going back into my scrap bin to look at mats. And I'm thinking that I want to do different colored mats. I'm thinking about blue, obviously, my favorite color. And then I'm also going to think about some brown and some green. And what you're going to see me doing here over the next few minutes is just trying to figure out what colors cardstock that I want to use to mat those photos to help them become the hero of my page. So now you're going to see me bring this scrap paper in again so that I can punch another border. And what I'm showing you here is my border piece is not quite long enough. So if you actually take a Post-it and line it up right at the edge, what that does is extend your paper so that you can use that side to line your punch up perfectly on that black line across the top. And this just gives you a perfect cut for when you do your border. So I've just taken off the rest of the Post-it, and then I'll move that garbage out of the way. And then that will go right across the bottom, and it just gives visual weight to the bottom of my page, which helps ground it. And it's fun, and it uses a bonus punch, so that works. In a minute, you're going to see me pick it up, and I'm going to move it to the top of the page to see, should I put it on the top also? And then I realize, no, now look, I look like I'm at a French bistro, so I put it back just on the bottom. So now I'm back to trying to figure out what color cardstock. This is the extra piece that went with the paper, and I decide to go ahead and cut it and then look at it. But what you'll see is that it's just too light. It does not help the photos pop at all. When you put it behind, they just disappear. It does not do anything to make them pop off of this page. So I try it, and I'm not loving it. As you can see, you can't even hardly see that matte there. But I did try it, and then I decide I need a darker brown. So I pulled out my Natural Beginnings collection because I actually have some additional embellishments and paper that coordinate with this simple page kit. And so I went in and I found a brown, and then I found a green. And I thought, let me try those for mattes. And I actually liked the lighter green side. So I decide I'm going to cut this and try this as a matte. And then you'll see me do the exact same thing with the brown, just to add a little bit more color into this simple page kit. What I love about the Natural Beginnings simple page kit is it is neutral. So you could literally use this page kit for almost any kind of pictures. You just have to add a different colored cardstock and it'll change the look entirely. For me, I'm going to go ahead and stick with the greens and the browns and the blues because that's what coordinates with what we were doing. So now I'm looking at embellishing, and I pull in this strip and I see these cute little washi tape looking stickers, and I thought, oh, that'd be fun. I could put these right across the top. I could change up their colors. Again, I'm just trying to add some more dimension, some more color to this layout to make it more interesting. So I'm just resting these right along the top. I'm not sticking them down because I'm not sure if that's where they'll end up. I'm just auditioning. You guys know that I like to audition all of my papers, my stickers, and I'm not sure about the color of the brown, so I try a bunch of different ones just trying to decide which one I like the best, and I end up back with the original one that I had there to begin with. So I go back to my collection and I find all of the embellishments that are with Natural Beginnings to see what I can add to this layout just to bring in more interest. And what you're going to see me do here in a minute is I'm going to remove all of these stickers just because I'm not sure that that's where they're going to end up. And so a lot of times when I'm auditioning stickers, I will use the anti-stick powder to make them so that they're more like embellishments that I can move around. So now I have my embellishment pack out, and you're going to see me. I am literally going through this, just sorting. What kind of things might I be able to use, might be able to use as little embellishments, might be able to use to tuck in here and there just to add more interest to my page. So I'm going to sort them, and you're going to see I put some smaller things at the top. Those are things that I can just throw into a cluster that I think might work. And then I'm going to go back to my punches and get my 5-leaf punch. This will allow me to add just some leaves. Leaves are always such a great thing to add to any kind of cluster, especially here because it's going to help me bring in green. And there are some green areas in my background, so it'll bring in another color, which will be great for this layout to help elevate it. Now, I'm just going to lay these down to look at them for a minute, but you guys know that I will go back and I will add some sponging to the tips of those leaves as well as some veins just to give them some more added dimension. So we're about at the end of this video. What happens is things are starting to slide around on me. And so I decide what I'm going to do is I am going to go through and I'm going to stick down all of the things that I know that I like. And then I will come back and we will do all of the embellishing together. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go away for a minute just so I can stick everything down and then I will be back. Hello everybody, so I am back and I have adhered everything down and I went ahead and printed out my title on my Cricut, Cobblestones and Classrooms, which like I said, ChatGPT helped me come up with that title when I kind of explained what I was looking for, so that's fun. That's a fun little search that you can do when you're looking for titles. You can use ChatGPT and say, I need a creative title for my scrapbooking page, and kind of explain what the pictures are, and it'll come up with a list of titles for you. So now I'm at the embellishing time, but let me just tell you, when I laid this out, this was really bothering me. And I think that the reason I determined it was bothering me so much is it has this bright red in these two pictures. So it's kind of clashing with my whole look of my page. And I kind of did some embellishing on my own just to get an idea of what I wanted to do, and I couldn't make it work. So in the end, after really struggling with these pictures, I decided to switch them out with more neutral pictures, and it just blends much better for me. And so I will put these two pictures underneath my peekaboo pockets, but for my main page, I'm going to keep it kind of within the same color family, just because I didn't want to bring red really anywhere else into the layout, and those pictures had a lot of red. Okay, so now we are at the embellishing part, and I don't know if you guys remember, but we had these two leftover pieces, and so this piece right here I felt would be perfect to put here for a little journaling block. So once I have my main thing, then it's a matter of looking and seeing what I have. So I pulled out my stickers, you guys know, and I also pulled out my embellishments, and I kind of went through and just grabbed a few pieces that I thought might work on the page. But a lot of the embellishments within the Natural Beginning set are just big envelopes, and the envelopes I just feel like are too big really to put on here. I just didn't see something, like I might be able to put one here, but I just don't really love it. So then the next thing I do, and I hear this a lot from you guys, that you don't have a lot of embellishments and that you have to build up your embellishments. So I have this 5-leaf punch, which we don't sell anymore, but if you guys ever see this, you just need to buy it, or if we ever come out with a really big punch like this, pick this one up. I use it all the time. And so when you punch it, it is just a very plain leaf, but it's big, it has lots of, it just fills a lot of room. So what I do is I draw veins on it, and then I take my ink and I ink brush around the edges, and it's kind of hard to see on the dark one, but this one you can see where I've just added a little ink. It just adds some dimension to the leaf. The other thing sometimes that I'll do is I'll just curl up the edges just a little bit, just to give them just a little life, and then I'm going to tuck them on the corners of my leaf. And I'm probably going to do a dark one, and then I'll probably do a light one just to give it a little bit of depth and variety, like this. And then the other punch that I've talked to you about is Spring Blooms. I have used this itty bitty punch on pretty much every layout where I've needed just a little tiny bit of a leaf. Now, we also just now have come out with, here it is, Winding Vines. And Winding Vines is, they're going to do the same thing. It's going to give you the same sort of leaf. I'm just going to put it in here so you can see. I didn't punch this one because I used my 5 my 5-hole leaf. But it's the same kind of idea. It's a little bit bigger. So now when you look at all 3 of them next to one another, you can see that you're getting into 3 different sizes, which is perfect for using embellishment clusters. These 2 are very similar, so I don't know that you need both, because you could always cut this one down and it almost is the same size, but I would definitely recommend one or the other. Winding Vines is a border style punch, which gives you a very fun border. It'll look like this. Let me see if I can line it up to show you. I don't know, when I punched it, I kind of punched it backwards. I'm just looking to try and figure out how this fits in here, and it doesn't really. I don't know how I think I lined it up this way, that's why. Yeah. So I did it this way. Ah. I don't want the debris to go all over my thing, but you can kind of see what this edge will look like. So it's a really fun edge for a page. So that's what this punch is. It's the Winding Vines border punch. Or Spring Blooms will give you 4 different pieces. 3 of them are flowers and 1 is the little leaf, which I use a lot. So I will end up taking this little cluster right here, and probably, you know, I may end up going solid colors here, and then bringing in a light little leaf like this. It just, you can see when you look at it, it just gives you a little extra added texture, which makes it a lot more fun. All right, so the other set that I use is piece by piece, and I use this punch a lot because I like this heart. But we had another heart. I don't think you can still buy this one, but I know Key to My Heart, which is another trio punch set, also has a heart. It's a little bit bigger, but I use these all the time. But I'm a heart girl. I know some people aren't, but I am. So I like to add just a little bit of a heart. So I went ahead and I punched a tiny little heart just to add down here in this cluster. So then I went through and I found this embellishment, which I thought was fun, that we could add here onto my wall. And again, I'm going to tuck some leaves onto my wall here. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to pull in some of the green from my pictures just to make this just a tad bit more interesting. So something like this is probably what I'll do. And then I think that looks pretty good on this side. So then I'll go to this side, and I like here, and I'll probably put something right along here. Oh, the other punch that I want to tell you about, this just came out with that punch set, and I don't know if you remember, but in my newsletter I told you I'm interested to get this punch. You guys, I love this punch. I have used this punch on every single one of my layouts since I've received it. It is definitely a punch that's worth your time investing in. It's one of those, it's going to end up in my tool caddy. It's probably going to replace my, I don't know which one it'll replace in there, because right now I have all my slots are filled. But I didn't know that I was going to love it so much. But look, I love these. These little banner pieces are great. So I can tuck like a little banner piece here in the top, just to give it a little bit more of a flare up there. So that's super fun. So you guys know I'm not a salesperson, but when I talk about investment pieces, accent arrows, definitely put this on your list. Remember, we're going to have the sale in July. Put this on your list for July. This is one you will not regret having in your stash for sure. So add that one. The other one that I told you I was interested in is rounded tabs. I was talking with a roadie and she wanted to know the size of these. These are great, especially this one. That is the perfect little tab space up here that you can add. This one's a little bit bigger, but we were talking about flipping peekaboo pockets, and that might work to flip a peekaboo pocket. I mean, it still works on the side if you want a little bit bigger of a tab punch. So again, I haven't used this one quite as often, but another one for an investment piece. If I had to choose between rounded tabs and accent arrows, I would definitely go with accent arrows. But if you're looking for tabs or you don't have tags or tabs, this one also good investment pieces. All right, so let me move those out of the way. Now we're on this side. And I originally thought about this, but I just decided I didn't love it. So I found another piece on here, which I liked a lot. And again, I did cut some more of these little banner pieces to put underneath here, which I think are fun. And of course, you guys know I'm gonna tuck a leaf. I might bring it over just a little bit more. I'm gonna tuck a leaf. And I have some more of these. So I like that. And then this was kind of bothering me because I feel like I wanted it to be offset. I didn't want it to be straight because I felt like when my title was offset, it gave it a little bit of feel of movement. And I also feel like I've got these two clusters up here. You guys know I like to do them in a triangle. I also don't normally put two at the top, but because this is already such a big statement in the middle, I didn't necessarily want to put another thing in the middle down here. So I kind of want to bring your eye down here a little bit. So I was thinking if I just added a little leaf along the bottom of the ampersand, that would help just bring a little attention down there. So I'm loving this. And then the other thing that I thought is it might be fun, and I do a couple more hearts because I like hearts. So, and then I had put these up at the top here. At this point, I'm just playing. I am adding dimension to my page. I'm adding some excitement, some interest. So I like that. And then I have two hearts, so I need to bring in a third. So I probably would bring it in up here at this cluster. Like that. And then what I thought might be fun here is if I tied in just some leaves growing out of my wall. I don't know. I just thought that might help bring your eye down a little bit, and it's just fun. And it's just fun. I don't know. I want it to look like it's kind of growing out of the wall. And I'm looking to see if I have any more of these little leaves. Maybe pull one over here. So now I have some leaves over here, and then I carried it all along my wall here. I brought some leaves down here. I don't know if this needs another one. I think that's too much. So I might just stick with that one. So this is what I am looking at. Now, what is great about this is I have done a top 6 inches and I have done a bottom 6 inches. So my 6-inch mark falls right underneath these photos. like, I don't know if you can tell, but right here is 6 inches. I'm lined up at 6 inches here. So if I cut my paper in half, 6 inches, I can put this in the top of my peekaboo pocket, and then when I flip it open, I have a whole nother page of pictures that I can put these underneath, and then someone can open them and they'll still be able to see all my pictures, but it doesn't have this bright, see, when I put that bright red on here, it just, I don't know, I didn't like it. I don't like it with the rest of the tone of my papers. So using that peekaboo pocket is going to allow me to put all these other pictures that I have underneath it without changing the design of my cover page. So this is what I'm looking at. Let's just go really quick through everything and remind you that we started with my Natural Beginnings Simple Page Kit. That's where I started. I had a neutral base. I knew I wanted to add in color, so looking at my pictures, I had a lot of blue. You guys know I'm a navy girl. I love my navy blue, so that immediately told me I could use navy blue. And then there's a lot of green in here. Green automatically makes me think of leaves, and leaves I can add to any embellishment to just jazz up my page. Okay, so now let's talk about punches, because we are on the Great Punch Challenge and the Breakout, Great Punch Breakout. And so building bricks was where I started. This was the punch. I don't think I've ever used it, and I wanted to use it for here. I felt like it reminded me of Georgetown and Washington DC, so this is where I started. I knew I was going to want to divide my paper, so I used it as a natural place to be able to do that with. So I used building bricks. Okay, what else did I use? I then am talking about statement, not really statement, that's not the right word, but I'm looking for investment pieces. These are pieces that you will not regret having them in your craft studio. So I already talked to you. I brought in the 5-leaf punch, and I brought in spring blooms. Spring blooms is still available. If you don't want spring blooms, then you could go for winding vines. Both of those 2 little leaves there, perfect. You won't regret having them, I promise you. Either one of these 2. I have used spring blooms probably more. It's probably one of my top punches that I've used so far this year since I've received it. So investment pieces are leaves. If we ever come back with a chunkier leaf, 5-leaf punch, or you can get your hands on a 5-leaf punch, sorry, I don't have any. This is an investment piece. You won't regret it. Okay, so what else did I pull in? Then I pulled in some banners, accent arrows, again, probably one of my top 5 punches. It's an investment piece. You won't regret having it. Rounded tabs, another investment piece. You won't regret having it. If I had to choose, I would definitely go with accent arrows, but rounded tabs, also good. For me, it's not as much of a priority because I already have the tab punch, so that's why. But either one, good investment pieces. And then the last thing that I used is I used my heart punch. I used piece by piece. It's a little bit smaller of a heart. It is a trio set. I'm not sure, I don't think it's still available, but this one, Key to My Heart, definitely is. It punches a little bit bigger, you guys, but I don't know that it's that much bigger. I'm trying to find scraps on here. You can see. So it's a little bigger, but that is Key to My Heart. Okay, so how many punches did I use total on this layout? I used 1, 2, 3, 4 punches on this, 5 punches on this layout. So that's pretty good for our punch, using up my punches, using my tools. And this is where I'm at. I am going to adhere everything down, and then I will post it later. Okay, I know I'm rambling at this point. I'm just excited. I'm excited about this layout and how it turned out. And I hope that you guys all have a great rest of the week, and I will talk to you soon. All right, bye.